USA Today. This is a big poll. Say went to 3,113 counties across the country. I'm taking this off the top of my head, but I believe Trump carried, when he lost to Biden, 75% of all counties in America. I think that's the number. It's around there somewhere. So USA Today went out, and Gannett, which owns USA Today, they're rooting for Kamala Harris, just so you know. So 3,113 counties, 500 likely voters in each state. That's a big crew, okay? They basically surveyed the electoral situation, but they didn't release that yet. What they did release is 73% of all the counties, more than 3,000, have become more partisan from 2012 to 20. I think we knew that, but that's what USA is spending its money for. That's it. The rest of them is pretty much the same. All right, let's bring in Donald Trump's pollster, a guy named John McLaughlin. You've seen him before in the No Spin News, straight shooter, CEO and part of McLaughlin Associates. Okay. Now, you have internal polling, which Trump pays you for. And what's the latest?
We don't release it.
I know you, but I'm your pal. So you're just telling me. No one else. No one's going to hear
it. But if I tell you, you'll tell President Trump, and then it'll leak.
I won't tell President Trump.
But actually, yeah, we feel pretty good. By the way, right now we feel cautiously optimistic. And let me tell you, compared to 2016, when Hillary was she was ahead at this point, like by 5 or 6 points, and you had polls back then that are up 7 or whatever, and then we talk about the Hillary lock. They had one CBS on October 16th. They had her up 11. NBC had her up 7. That was November 6th, right before the election, and we ended up pulling out an electoral college victory. And
this is in 2016. So Trump's numbers are stronger. How about 20 though?
20 was worse. You had the Biden blue wave, remember? And at this point, they had Biden up 51-42 in the national popular vote.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, granted, it was 4 points, but even then, you had you had October 11th. You had polls where he was up 52-42. You had double-digit leads, and NBC again had him up on Halloween, October 31st. It was 52-42. Economist YouGov does CBS polling now. They had him up 10, right. 53-43. Right. So the national popular vote, to the extent it's related to the electoral college, you had these big leads, and I think they were trying to suppress our vote.
Okay. Now, my mantra is people believe what they want to believe. All right. You know that. I made it quite clear that we live in that kind of a country now, where a lot of people, facts don't matter. I want to believe it. I'm going to believe it. So I'm of the mind, because I think Trump thinks he's ahead. Now, he didn't tell me that directly, but I'm getting that impression not only from the former president, but from people close in his inner circle. They think they're ahead, they're going to win. Is that what you're getting? Because you work for them.
Well, we are cautiously optimistic, but we're running like underdogs. I tell you, the thing that happened with the hurricanes, because you're talking, what we're afraid of is censorship. We lost the race in 2020 because when the story came out about the Hunter Biden laptop, they censored it.
Yeah,
the New York Post was censored.
Right.
So you
can't censor a hurricane, John. Here it is, No, can't do that.
But they were censoring the parts about the money from FEMA wasn't there because they've been taking care of illegal immigrants. And, remember the coverage that you had during Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Sandy, where Sandy, it was Obama coming in with the money and the hugs and everything like that. And you've got a situation where Trump went into Valdosta a week ago today, before Biden got to Georgia, before Biden got to North Carolina, before Kamala Harris. She was flying back after a fundraiser on the West Coast, and people were suffering. And now we got to make sure a lot of those parts of those states are Republican areas. We got to make sure they can vote. And then in Florida, God bless the people down there, where Governor DeSantis is telling people to prepare, to get out of the way. It's going to be bad. And, you're going to hit plenty of Republican areas in a Republican state.
Yeah, but it is, but it's not an overwhelming Republican state like Mississippi or Alabama, right. Florida. Look, I don't think these storms, as bad as they are going to affect people going to the polls. I just don't. In 4 weeks, you're going to have some stability down there. Now, if Biden diverted money away from hurricane relief to another pet project, I want to see the data on that. And that'll be huge if that happens. Last question for you. You know, Real Clear Politics keeps an average, a daily average of everything. They got today Electoral College 281 to 257. Trump wins. Right. You need 270 to win. So, right. And when you look at the latest polling on the swing states, most of them Trump is winning by 1 or 2. Is that what you have?
That is very close. But you know what? You should also, our electoral vote total would go up if you put in Nevada, or they don't have us winning Michigan or Wisconsin, and it's really close there. Trump was there 4 times in the last week in Wisconsin, but they don't have Michigan and Wisconsin in our column. They don't have Nevada in our column, and they do have Pennsylvania.
It's too close in those states. And Pennsylvania, too. That's not in your column, is it?
Yeah, that one's in the column. That's why we're at 281. And,
is that right? Okay.
Yeah. But you know what? But it's still close. But those early mail-in ballots from in the 4 states that are in the targeted battleground states, they're coming in now, but they're not coming as high as they did in 2020. Democrats still have an advantage, but Republicans, I think the early in-person vote's going to be high, and that means like mid-October to late October. We really have to be pushing our vote in the early in-person voting because...
One more question. Do you get data when people send in the ballots? Do both campaigns know which way those ballots are leaning?
Yes, from when the Secretary of States in those states make it public. So there is public...
But that's only made public after Election Day, right? Not before.
No, they get counts depending upon the state. Different states are really good at it, and some aren't.
So they'll release early. So on this date, let's say October 26th in Pennsylvania, here's what the mail-in ballots are showing. That's possible. You might get that data.
Yes, both campaigns have that data right now, and they're pushing people who have, say, requested absentees that we think are Trump voters to go vote.
Okay.
And the same from the Democrats. They do their side.
Fascinating.
So both sides have information.
All right. We're going to check in with you in 2 weeks and then once more before Election Day. And we really appreciate it, John. I sent John a free signed book that he can sell on eBay for a lot of money if he wants to.
I'm reading your book. Can you tell me which president was court-martialed?
Johnson, Andrew Johnson.
No.
Who?
No. He went through an impeachment hearing.
Who?
Abraham Lincoln was court-martialed.
In the Black Hawk War?
You got it. Exactly. His troops ran.
Okay. Right. But that was a little obscure for us. He kind of overcame that.
He just had to. Yeah. By the way,
I think he was 12.
But he got sentenced to carrying a wooden sword.
There you go. So, I got sentenced for that the other day. I had to carry a wooden sword around. All right, John. Thanks very much. We appreciate it.
Seriously, it's a great book because you got a lot of.
I appreciate it. A guy like you who knows everything about politics. If you really liked it, that's a nice compliment. I appreciate it.
It's like.
By now, you have heard me talk about Delta Rescue. They are a fantastic organization that helps rescue animals from the wilderness. You know, I'm a dog lover, so is Leo Grillo, the founder of Delta Rescue. It is his life's mission to provide everlasting care for these once abandoned animals. I myself have donated to Delta Rescue. Do you believe it is part of man's duty to care for dogs and horses, the animals that so much of our history is tied to? If so, please consider making a donation or consult your advisor about leaving a gift in your will or trust. There can be some tax advantages, and it's a great way to help Delta Rescue accomplish their mission. So please visit deltarescue.org to learn more. That's deltarescue.org. And I don't want to be repetitive, but the story is what they call evolving. So the big mistake that she made Kamala Harris made, who's in the most unlikely place. The View, where Sunny Hostin asked her this. Go.
If anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
No, wouldn't have done anything different. So we're talking open borders, catastrophe, terrible inflation, catastrophe, embarrassing withdrawal from Afghanistan, hurt us immeasurably overseas, and empowering Iran to fund terrorism all over the Middle East. And the Democratic presidential candidate says, it's okay. I wouldn't have done anything differently. What do you say? What do you say to that? Now, if you know someone who's going to vote for Kamala Harris, just ask her that simple question. Her or him. That simple question. She wouldn't do anything differently. Is that okay with you? Does that stack up with you? They'll go, I hate Trump. It's what it is. That's what it is. Now, Harris is a disciplined person, as I write in my message of the day on BillO'Reilly.com today. She's disciplined. She memorizes stuff and spits it out. She wasn't expecting that Hostin question and booted it totally. She didn't have a rehearsed answer for that. And she couldn't think on her feet quick enough. All she had to do was say, look, in every situation you can improve. In every situation in life and politics, you can improve. That's all she had to say. And then if they went in specifically, what would you improve on? Then she could have said, well, I would have basically hoped that we could have kept the prices down. But she could have dodged all that, and the View ladies never would have pinned her. All right, joining us now from Washington, D.C. is the Washington editor of The Spectator, which is a right-leaning magazine, Amber Duke. She is the author of the book Snowflakes Revolt, How Woke Millennials Hijacked the American Media. And since Ms. Duke is an expert, she researched this book on the media, I want to get her impressions of what has happened. 60 Minutes, Colbert, The View, Howard Stern. Did any of that matter at all to the country?
No, it didn't. And in fact, I think it actually made things worse for Kamala Harris and her campaign because, as you pointed out, that disastrous answer she gave on The View, that is already being cut up into Trump ads that they are going to be running in the swing states. They just released the first cut of it today. And we also see that not a lot of people are really even tuning in. So even though Americans say they want to know more about Kamala Harris, about a fifth of voters say they're not really sure what exactly it is she stands for, the more they see of her, the less interested they get. And so the audiences continue to shrink. She has waited way too late in the game to be doing this kind of media blitz. If we look at the Call Her Daddy podcast interview, Bill, that got about 400,000 views. Similar episodes on that podcast that performed better than Kamala Harris, the current vice president, are things like Leah's Love Island Tell-All and Megan Fox's plastic surgery story. If her campaign is looking at those numbers, they have to be very, very concerned.
Okay. It does get out, though, Amber. You know that. It's all over the place, and people cruise into different areas. But they don't get any definition about who Kamala Harris is. But I think that's what the Democratic Party wants. They don't want the voter. Yeah, they don't want the voter to know how far left this woman is. And the second thing is that she's a machine politician. She doesn't really understand the world. She doesn't have creative problem-solving abilities. She's a machine politician, has always been that way, promoted by the Democratic machine in California, and then in Washington in the national Democratic machine. And you can see that all along the line. She doesn't have the discipline to figure out, here's the problem and here's how to solve it. So they don't want a definition of her, correct?
That's true. That's a strategy. I think the question is whether it's a good strategy. And based on the fact that she is even doing this much media 30 days out from the election, when originally they wanted to keep her as shielded from the press as possible for good reason, because clearly she's not capable of thinking on her feet. That suggests to me that the internals of the campaign, meaning the internal polling, is much worse than what we're seeing in the public polls. They realize that she's got to make up some ground somewhere. And her campaign has been telling places like New York Magazine and the New Yorker that their strategy in North Carolina is to get rural Republicans to vote for her. That sounds like desperation. Obviously, you're not going to be able to cut into Trump's base as Kamala Harris in 2019 or 2024. It doesn't matter which one. She's already struggling with the Democratic base in terms of Black men and Hispanic men. The strategy is there. They don't want her to be defined, but is it working? No, I don't think so.
Okay, final point. We just learned before airtime that Vice President Harris is taking the lead on Hurricane Milton. She will be calling in to CNN. All right. And I'm not criticizing CNN, because if she said, look, I'll call into the O'Reilly broadcast and we reached 5 times as many people as CNN, all right, I would say, sure, have her call in. But she's going to take the lead about explaining what the Biden-Harris administration is doing to help with Hurricane Milton. She's making the call in, not Biden. So it seems to me now that the White House has decided that she's the president as of tomorrow, because that's when she's going to start. Does that stack with you?
That's definitely what they're trying to do. They want to give the perception of her having executive experience, but the problem that's obvious to so many people is, what has she been doing over the past 3.5 years? Is this the first time that she's made an attempt to call Florida Governor Ron DeSantis before a hurricane? Because I can promise you, Florida has had plenty of hurricanes before Milton. I mean, arguably none as severe, but now she is going to stand on the tarmac and accuse him of playing politics. Where was Kamala Harris when Hurricane Helene hit? She was doing a rally in Las Vegas on Sunday night after there had already been 6 tornadoes spotted across southeastern North Carolina. She didn't fly back into the White House until Monday afternoon after she taped that Call Her Daddy podcast. So her in-person briefing was basically 3 days after the hurricane touched down in Florida and moved its way up through the southern United States. The idea that she's going to run point on Milton is ludicrous.
All right. Well, she's going to do it. All right, Amber, we appreciate it. Check out her book, The Snowflakes Result: How Woke Millennials Hijacked the American Media. Amber Duke. Okay. Vice President nominee Tim Walz said something, and that's not surprising. This was at Gavin Newsom's fundraiser at his private residence, Governor Newsom. Walz said this, quote, "I think all of us know the Electoral College needs to go. We need national popular vote, but that's not the world we live in." Well, thank God that's not the world we live in, because then Los Angeles, New York, and Chicago would dominate every election. The genius of the Constitution is that the Founding Fathers saw the big urban situations, all right, being able to overwhelm the rest of the country. And that's why the electoral vote was put in. Walz doesn't want it. He doesn't want the Senate filibuster. He doesn't want the Supreme Court at 9. These are radical leftists, totalitarian people. They don't want any of this democracy business. Oh, my God. You didn't vote for this economy, but you're paying for it at the pump, the grocery store, and through that stack of unpaid bills. Financial stress crushing. The solution? donewithdebt.com. Unlike the others, Done with Debt has new aggressive strategies that free you from debt without bankruptcy or loans. They will negotiate with your creditors so that you'll have more money in your pocket from month 1 and every month until you're debt free. And the best news, Done with Debt is accepting new clients. But don't wait. Some of their debt strategies are time sensitive. Let Done with Debt hit the debt reset button for you and make your money yours again. But again, this is time sensitive. So visit donewithdebt.com or call 888-322-1054 right now. Chat with one of their debt relief strategists for free. Go to donewithdebt.com, donewithdebt.com. My Pillow has been canceled by another box store. That's too bad. But they're sharing an incredible offer for my listeners. Now for a limited time, you can get the standard size My Pillow for just $14.98. Usually retails for $49.98. My Pillow is made with patented adjustable fill. It adjusts to your exact individual needs regardless of your sleep position. So it holds its shape all night long to give your neck maximum comfort, get it aligned, and give you the best sleep of your life. But that's not all. There are deals on 4-piece kitchen or bath towel sets, only $25 per set. New mattress toppers as low as $69.98. Famous My Pillow bed sheets, love them, as low as $25, and much more. Please go to mypillow.com or call 1-800-869-0298. Use promo code BILL to get huge discounts on all My Pillow products, including the standard size My Pillow, now only $14.98. Don't delay, order today. New York City, totally chaos, total. $2.3 billion just on migrant housing. $2.3 billion. They don't have it. And the feds are going to have to put money into New York City to pay these bills. And that's from the Biden open border. And Kamala Harris goes, I can't think of anything I'd do differently. Hey, lady, you're bankrupting not only New York, but cities all across the country. Can't afford to pay for 15 million foreign nationals. $2.3 billion. And if you go to New York City, and I got to go there tonight, it's filthy dirty. All right. It's congested all over the place. It's crime ridden. Social services have disappeared because the money that goes into sanitation they don't have any money. All right. Taylor Swift, Smart Life. I like Taylor Swift. Trump says he hates her. I don't, that's not nice. So Taylor Swift says she's donating $5 million to help hurricane relief efforts. Right? She's giving the money to a nonprofit group called Feeding America. Well, good for her. Good for her. $5 million, Feeding America, to those affected by Helene and Milton. Good. Now, I get lots of letters from people, good people, generous people, patriots. I want to help. And my Smart Life advice is this: wait. And I said the same thing after 9/11. Remember the 9/11 charity thing and the telethon and all that, where I had to go mano a mano up against that idiot George Clooney, okay? Because the money donated by you wasn't getting to the victims of 9/11, their families. Remember that? Boy, if you weren't around for that, you need to Google that thing. And I won it, but boy, was it brutal to pry the money out of these agencies like the United Way in particular to get the money to the folks who needed it. And then I didn't get any help from these hotshot movie stars who are just, I can't even tell you. Not all of them. I mean, Stallone and Eastwood and those people, they were on my side, but most of them were not. Anyway, Smart Life today, 2024. Wait. Let's see how this aid chain unfolds. There are a number of organizations that are down there, private, that are setting up help. When you hear of one, and you will be solicited, because there's going to be a lot of fraud in this too. Remember, millions of dollars is going to be pumped into these areas to help folks. And whenever you have that, the fraudsters show up, people who steal the money. Go to charitynavigator.org. That's the best. They're good. And throw in the name of the charity you're interested in giving. And they'll pop up how effective these charities are. A lot of them are front-loaded with huge salaries for their executives. But wait, okay? And I know it's hard because everybody's emotional and want to help, but it's better to be calculated to see that your hard-earned donations go to where they should go. We live in an evil world here. It's an evil world. Now, the fraudsters are setting up phone calls, they're setting up internet stuff. They are running wild. You have to be very cautious. Smart life. But good for Taylor Swift. Colorado Supreme Court dismisses a lawsuit against a baker who would not make a cake for a trans celebration. Guy's name is Jack Phillips. He's been here before. He's Christian, all right? And he doesn't want to make cakes for people that do things that don't conflate with his Christian beliefs. So Phillips has been sued. This time around, somebody named Autumn Scardina sued him. This is a male, was born a male, wants to be a female, and she was celebrating that gender transition and wanted a cake. She knew Phillips wasn't going to bake the cake because he had been in the news for the gay weddings. So Autumn Scardina knew it, wanted to go in and cause trouble. Supreme Court has thrown the case out, saying that it was filed improperly. It's a technicality. Bottom line on this is, if you have a belief system, a religious-based system, the marketplace cannot force you to go against your belief system. Supreme Court has ruled it. Thank you for watching the No Spin News. To watch the full episode anytime on BillO'Reilly.com, please sign up to become a premium or concierge member. Visit BillO'Reilly.com to sign up and start watching today.